G'day, welcome to the Ramshackle Ranch. If you're new here, my name's Troy.
I'm Pascal.
And I'm making a bit of a rare appearance lately. I've been off farm a bit, but we're just about to go and do some chores, and we just thought we'd like to talk about a few things that might balance up what we normally present, because we often talk about how we've got animals on the farm, how rewarding they are and everything like that.
Yep.
There is a dark side, Pascal.
Yes, these are some of the things that, the 5 things in particular that we have found quite frustrating at times or annoying about having livestock.
Well, none of it's unexpected. You probably would have thought about it, but maybe there's some depth to the problem that you might not have considered.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of people that are maybe they're dreaming of some time in the future, or they're right on the cusp of getting a bit of land of their own, looking at being a bit more self-sufficient. So I don't know if these are going to be too surprising, but here are our experiences with the downsides of keeping domestic animals.
So, infrastructure.
Infrastructure?
It's a big deal when you have livestock.
You're going to have to provide your animals somewhere to live, and you're going to have to keep them where you want them. So infrastructure can be a plus or a negative depending on how you look at it. If you like improvising and coming up with neat solutions, it can be a plus. So we've got here pretty cheap and cheerful. We've got some bulk storage containers, IBCs, and cut the front out. These are really great for our pigs until they got too enormous. And they have been really great for our goats as well. So just put this basic roof on, gives them a veranda for our goats. It stops them from clambering, getting their feet stuck down in the metal cage that makes up an IBC, breaking their legs prematurely in the pot, because they don't go to the vet around here. Some people with their infrastructure, they need it to look really pristine. So some people have absolutely showcase properties. We're caretaking here, and we only have a very, very slim budget, so we have to sort of catch as catch can.
Yep.
That's, if you look in the background, there's like a bit of a disreputable looking chook coop. I guess that was built again 10 years ago. We've been waiting for it to fall down before we fix it. It just never did. Again, we're caretaking, so we didn't want to invest money into stuff that's still serviceable. And people that are just starting out, you might actually have to be like that. You might have to be like, I really want everything to be absolutely wonderful all the time. You're just going to have to work up to it as you go. But really, I mean, to keep an animal happy doesn't take nearly as much as to keep people happy. So you can find a lot of ideas of how to house your animals perfectly adequately. What you can't take shortcuts with is fencing. Before we go in and see the cows and I say anything about fencing, I just want to point out that this is what we found when we first came here. If you're going onto a block of land and you do a survey of the fences, they might not be as obviously derelict as this, but you really do need to assess all the fencing and make sure that it can hold an animal. What if it can't hold an animal? Come and have a look. So when we got here, we looked around at the fences, because this place had been sort of neglected for nearly a decade, and all the fences were destroyed. Kangaroos, time, everything. So we had to put our own fences up. And if you're looking down the barrel of doing this sort of thing, what do you know about fencing? Because if you don't know anything about it, you're going to have to learn. If you don't want to learn, you're going to have to pay. And if you're looking at paying, I encourage you to do your homework and find out how much it costs per metre to have decent fencing put up that can contain the animals that you want. You might get a nasty surprise, and you might be inspired, like I was, to learn how to do fencing yourself. But none of it's free. Even with your own labour, you're still going to have to, materials like strainers, wire, isolators if you're using electric. And electric is probably the cheapest way you can go about it, but it is still a significant amount per metre. How many metres do you need? How much permanent fencing do you need? I can hardly endorse temporary electric fence. So we've got the hard wire, the bare minimum we need just to divide up individual paddocks, and then we divide those further with temporary electric fencing as we go. A single strand will keep a cow in, absolutely will not keep a sheep or a goat in. A single strand might do with a pig, but you often need two. But all of these things, you really need to do a little bit of homework, and it might be something that just sort of, it's not very romantic, so it slips under the radar until it doesn't. So make sure that you've got enough in your pocket to actually handle the fencing that you need before you buy those animals. How's the grass, girls? Oh, another thing, as long as we're talking about infrastructure, this is Astra, the dairy cow. You can tell by all the bones sticking out of her because she's just raised this magnificent calf here. We've stopped milking her and Beatrix gets all of it. Look at it, looks like it's a sacred cow from India, doesn't it? It looks like it's always been pampered its whole life. So dairy animals need a lot more infrastructure than just say a meat animal as well. So we actually had to build a very, very rough little milking parlour. And again, the sky's the limit, how much you can spend, how much time you want to devote to making a really nice barn or milking parlour for your dairy animal. Alright, so food is probably fairly obvious. We did spend quite a bit of time regenerating this land, the pastures, so that they could support a ruminant animal. When we got here at first, they definitely couldn't. We used pigs to turn the soil and improve it. So you might think, oh, well, that's great. Now there's lots of grass everywhere and the cows can just eat what they want. It's obvious to people that are experienced, but it might not be obvious if you're just going to head out into it, that there's not always food on every block all the time. So you do have to come up with some supplemental feeding for most of your, particularly dairy animals. So you really need to think about, is it nearby? Is it economical, and can I get it easily, and can I get it in those key times? Last year we had a particularly tough summer, everyone ran out of food, and we were just lucky that we got apples and brewery grain, and we were able to pull our animals through that. But some people met an extraordinary expense actually feeding their animals through that hungry gap.
So another thing you have to contend with when you have livestock is dealing with the poop. And I think that the worst culprits for that are having chickens. We love our chickens, they're very low maintenance, but they will poop everywhere. We like to let them out every day so that there's not such a massive manure load in here in their coop. But that does mean that they are free ranging around the property and just running amok around the property and leaving nice deposits at our doorstep and right where the baby can get involved. Even just having these guys in here of an evening and early morning, it can get quite smelly. We have quite a lot of chickens at the moment, probably too many, but we just let the mothers sit on the eggs and hatch out their babies. So this is just what happened over spring, summer this year. So we will be culling them very soon just to keep that manure load down. But that was in just a week and a half of me not cleaning out their coop. This is actually like quite bad, quite atrocious. I actually do need to get in here and scoop it out and clean it out. So it's a big commitment. You've got to get in, and every couple of weeks you've got to come and clean out their coop, even if they're out free ranging. If you've got them permanently in their coop, then you're going to have to be adding carbon all the time just to keep that nitrogen, the smell and everything down. Other animals, the poo is not quite so bad. We found that with pigs we were moving them around a lot, and they also tended to just go in one area in their or wherever we had them fenced off, so that was quite good. Goat poo is very inoffensive, so that's been really great, and cow poo is sort of spread around the paddock as well. So I think that's one thing. Think about how you're going to manage your chickens with as regards to the poop. It is a good resource on the plus side. It's quite high in nitrogen, so you do need to think about not burning. We have burnt plants putting chicken poo directly onto plants, so yeah, something to think about. Okay, another really important thing to consider is that having animals on the farm is a massive responsibility, and it's going to be really hard for you to get away from the property for any extended period of time, particularly if you have milking animals. So our goats, they need to be milked every day. You could probably get away with milking them every second day at the moment, but you need to be looking after what they eat each day. But dairy animals, there's a bit of a drain on dairy animals in terms of minerals and things like that. It puts a lot of pressure on their bodies to be making large quantities of milk every day. So you need to be looking out for their health, which leads me to another subject that we'll get onto after this. But you're going to have to be around every couple of days during milking time, and even when they're not being milked, they're probably going to be pregnant, so you need to be looking after them and giving them the care that they need. I found that we've gone away for 3 or 4 days at the farm and we've had other people come and look after them, but you know, they muck up instructions, they're not really sure what they're doing. Sometimes they don't give them the right food, or they don't get fed, and things happen. It's not their animals, so it's not the same as how you feel when you have your own animals. You come to, you really care about them. You find yourself dreaming about them at night and worrying about their well-being. So yeah, something to consider. It is rewarding for sure, because you have these animals that are in your care that are affectionate and they give you things in return, but you are very much tied to your property while you have animals. Chickens obviously you can leave alone. Cows, if you've got good fencing, you could probably leave them for a few days and there's good pasture. But if you're milking any animals, they need you need to be looking after their feed every day, and you need to be milking them as well. Otherwise, they're going to run into health problems if you just leave them with a full udder unmilked. Okay, another thing, vets are incredibly expensive. So unless you've got bottomless pockets, you need to be thinking about animal husbandry, healthcare, how you're going to look after them when they get injured. You need to be comfortable dealing with cuts, scrapes, lancing things if they are infected, and disinfecting them. You need to be on top of management of their holistic healthcare, so making sure that they have the minerals and the supplements that they are required. If you go down the vaccination path, you need to put aside money to vaccinate your animals. We don't vaccinate our animals. We prefer to just let them build up natural immunity to these things, and just by giving them the best health possible, best feed, the best care, and everything that they need on the farm. But you are going to have to spend the time reading and learning about animal husbandry and how to look after your animals. With my goats, we've had lots of different health scares with them, and even just general maintenance of animals. You need to be comfortable trimming their hooves. The same goes for dairy cows as well. And we've even had the same health issues ongoing with the chickens, with things like bird mites, just watching their health deteriorate. But then we eat our chickens and we eat their eggs, so I didn't really want to put poison around their coop to try and stop the mite problem. So you just, you're always thinking, and you're always going to be spending time researching and having to learn about how to best look after them. And that's an ongoing thing. It's sort of something you can't avoid if you care about them and you care about the welfare of your animals. So it is rewarding, but I feel like it's a massive negative. It's a really big drain on your mental capacity, and it's something that you can't stop thinking about. So the last thing that we realized keeping animals is that they can be incredibly noisy. Now that might seem obvious to you, but to us we didn't realize what a racket they can make. The noisiest they are is when they're on heats and when they come into season. Our goats have really started to bellow this year. Oh my gosh, it just goes on and on and on. The saving grace is that it's only normally for about a 24-hour period. But yeah, it does happen every 3 to 4 weeks. So our 2 dairy goats, Dot and Jude, they come on and they're very, very noisy, and you think that there's something wrong with them, that they're dying or something horrible's happened to them. But you just go and see them, and they're just, their tails are wagging like crazy, and they're frenetic, and they just want to find a buck as quick as possible, and they get really upset that you can't find them a buck. So, yeah, something to be aware of. Your animals will go on heat, and they will be very, very loud. Beatrix, our cow, her heat doesn't even last that long. It's only about 12-ish hours. But she will, if it's over the night, she will actually just come and stand at the fence by our window and yell in the middle of the night and wake us up. So it's incredibly frustrating. On top of that, if you have dairy animals and you muck up their routine so you don't feed them in the morning. At the moment, I am mucking up Drew's routine a bit. She's injured, so I can't really milk her on the milking stand. I don't want her hoof to get all wet, so I've been milking her in here. But if you muck up their routine in terms of feeding times and when you milk them, if you don't feed them when they expect to be fed, they're just going to yell at you the whole time. So you're going to walk around the property and they're just going to be yelling at you. The goats are going to be yelling at you. The cow's going to be yelling at you. Chickens can also be really noisy, particularly if you are growing out your roosters. So, wow, we did a bit of a cull about 3 months ago, and it was so nice to just have mornings where there weren't roosters yelling at us at like 4 or 5 in the morning before the sun had come up. We've just started having the babies that have come through from spring summer start crowing now. So we had like a 2-month break where the chickens weren't bugging us, which was just amazing. But yes, if you're going to be raising chickens for meat, particularly your laying hens, the roosters, you're going to have to put up with roosters crowing. And if you want to be breeding your chickens, yeah, you're going to have to put up with at least one rooster crowing all the time.